Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Protect Your Farm Business with the University of Idaho Extension. I am Ashley Westerhold, an area extension economist in Twin Falls, Idaho. And today I just wanted to share an update that came to us later today. It's a press release by U.S. Secretary Sonny Perdue. He released some information on farmers and rancher assistance today. And so I wanted to share that news release with you, and it is in the comments or in the description box. And so if you're interested in the link, it is in the description box. And so I just wanted to read some parts to those who are listening right now. In that way, you can know what's being said on that press release. I think it's very good information. So the USDA announces their details of direct assistance to farmers through the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program. So the United States Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, announced the details of the Coronavirus Food Assistance Program, which will also provide direct payments to deliver relief to America's farmers and ranchers impacted by the coronavirus pandemic. And so it's not only for farmers, it's for farmers, ranchers, and other different producers. I wanted to read the quote that they put in this press release that Sonny Perdue said. America's farming community is facing an unprecedented situation as our nation tackles the coronavirus. President Trump has authorized USDA to ensure our patriotic farmers, ranchers, and producers are supported, and we are moving quickly to open applications to get payments out the door and into the pockets of farmers. These payments will help keep farmers afloat while market demand returns as our nation reopens and recovers. America's farmers are resilient and will get through this challenge just like they always do, with faith, hard work, and determination. And so again, the USDA announced their program. They give you some background on the program. As you can see, they break out different production systems. So non-specialty crops and wool, livestock, dairy, specialty crops. What is the eligibility? Applying for the assistance. And so I really wanted to talk about this on this live. As you can read the press release on your own time, but I really think it is important to know the right place to go if you are interested in this program, and it might be someone who has more knowledge of the program than I do. And so it is saying that producers of all eligible commodities will apply through their local FSA office. And if you do not know your local FSA office, I've actually linked in the description box a locator of where your local FSA office is. So it's a USDA office locator. And what you do is you click on it, it should show you a map of the US. You then click the state you are located in. So I'd click Idaho, and then I would click Twin Falls. And it gave me my local FSA office with their phone number and their email and who to contact. And I think that was really awesome tool. In that way, I know who to contact if I'm interested in this program. And so producers can apply for assistance beginning on May 26th, 2020. And so that is next week. And if you're interested, I would highly recommend you, again, to reach out to that local FSA office. And applications will be accepted through August 28th, 2020. And so you can start applying next week, and they will be accepting applications through August 28, 2020. And so they also have the payment structure on here, and it's just something that I think you guys should know about and hear about. In that way, you are aware of these programs that can maybe help you during this difficult time. So with that, the topic I wanted to discuss today that you guys might be interested in, I hope you are, because I think it is a huge help to you in your operation, is I showed you crop budgets last week and livestock budgets, all on the Idaho Ag Biz website. But I wanted to go through what enterprise budgets are, why should we care about them, and then walk you through actually the Excel files that we've created on the Idaho Ag Biz website and how you can use them at home as a template for yourself. And so first I wanted to go through what are enterprise budgets. And so I actually have a PowerPoint with me to discuss this topic. So enterprise budgets. So what is an enterprise? I know that word sometimes isn't used very often. So what is an enterprise? Well, it's an individual type of crop or livestock. So wheat is an enterprise. Corn is an enterprise. Dairy is an enterprise. Potatoes are an enterprise. You get the gist. But if you have a whole bunch of enterprises inside one production mix, then that's great. But you need to know if wheat is losing money versus corn maybe making money. And I'm not sure where you are in your operation, but enterprise budgets allow you to compare those things. So what is a budget? Well, you're testing it out on paper. It's a way to estimate profitability and flexibility. So it's really showing you where are you making money, where can you be flexible, where could you maybe change this production mix. So why use an enterprise budget? Well, you estimate your cost, returns, and your profit. And so that can be on a per acre basis, that can be on a per head basis. It is really up to you and your record keeping. But I think it is really great if you can narrow it down to that per acre and per head basis. It allows you to identify, like I said, those more profitable enterprises. If you're able to expand more, say, into corn, rather than expanding your acres into wheat, because corn is making more money than wheat in this example, then maybe that's something you need to look into. Is that something you're capable of doing? Is that something the enterprise could support? Or the business? Could the business support that new enterprise? That's what I meant to say. So it also, why use enterprise budgets? Well, they are used as the building blocks of a whole farm plan. You use enterprise budgets to then come up with your cash flow. So enterprise budgets are an amazing resource for you, but it's best if you make it for your own farm. We provide examples, but there's no better example than your actual numbers. So in a budget, we like to estimate revenues. So these are cash and non-cash revenues. So how do you calculate revenue? Well, you have to have yield. So what are your historical yields? What are the yield trends? And then how much inputs have you used that could potentially change yield this year? And then you have price. So there's yield and there's price that go into revenue. So projected selling prices can be based on historical prices, price trends, and price forecast. And so it's really good to know your prices and then your yields and make sure you're keeping records on these things. So you also, a part of an enterprise budget is estimating those costs that are associated with these enterprises. And so there's operating cost. And so what are the actual costs from the operation of the enterprise? And those include variable cost and direct cost. What are the ownership costs from owning your assets? So what are the fixed cost and indirect cost? And then we need to prorate to individual enterprises. So how much of those fixed assets are allocated to each enterprise? And then the opportunity cost. So the non-cash costs. It's difficult to estimate those opportunity costs, but what could you be doing with your land differently instead of having that enterprise? Land and management, and then returns to risk and management. So when talking about revenues and cost, we're trying to come up with a break-even price. So this is the price needed to cover costs at a given production level. So break-even price is total cost over expected yield. So how much will it cost you to produce this much yield? Well, that should be your break-even price. Whereas the break-even yield is the yield needed to cover the cost at a given price. So you have total cost over your expected price, and then you could have a break-even yield. So a short summary of this: build enterprise budgets on a per head or per acre basis. Include operating, ownership, and opportunity cost. Calculate break-even prices and yields, and compare profitability of other enterprises. So compare that profitability across your own production mix. And so with that, I wanted to jump into our Excel file to show you what we provide off the University of Idaho website. So if you went to Idaho Ag Biz, as I showed you in last week's video, if you're interested, go back and look at that video. It's called Protect Your Farm Business Resources, and I walk you through the Idaho Ag Biz website. But one of the parts of the Idaho Ag Biz website are these crop budgets and livestock budgets. So today I'm going through crop budgets. I'm going to southeastern Idaho irrigated crop budgets. And then next to spreadsheet, you can see that there is a link file that you can click on and it will download. And so when you open that, this is what it looks like. And so we have different pages for each different enterprise. So you have soft white winter wheat, soft white spring wheat, hard red winter or spring wheat, hard red spring wheat, malt barley, feed barley, alfalfa, alfalfa hay establishment, sugar beets, potatoes, potatoes, potatoes. And so all of these are different types of potatoes. So russet Burbank, that cost to grow, harvest, and sort. And then again, eastern Idaho, southern region versus northern region versus fumigation potatoes in the southern region of southeastern Idaho. And so today I just wanted to go through a very straightforward example of how you could change these. So with today's climate, maybe you have alfalfa and you cannot sell it anymore for 160 per ton. And so what you're going to put in there is that maybe now the price of alfalfa is 140. And so you have to enable editing, and then you click 140. See how it changed the total value and then the value or cost per acre. And so we get 6 tons of hay per acre, and then we are selling it for $140 per ton. And so we're getting $840 per acre, okay? And so what are our operating inputs? So those were our revenues and returns. So we did price times yield. And now we're going into operating inputs. So what was the cost per acre with these inputs? So we have fertilizer, pesticide, maybe you had a custom application of different things, and so you paid a certain amount of money. And we do have a custom rate survey, which can maybe help you with deciding these costs, but hopefully you're keeping good records. Again, irrigation, machinery, labor, and then we get into ownership cost. So what is land rent? What's general overhead? What is a management fee if you have one? Property taxes, property insurance, investment repairs, capital recovery, equipment. So you can see that the total cost per acre is $796 per acre. And so with that, you are now seeing that break-even analysis. And so a break-even analysis will then show you, okay, if the yield were to change 10% down or 10% up, what would it look like? And so what is the break-even that you would need? And then what is the price if it were up that 10% or down that 10%? And so it gives you a sensitivity analysis when we're providing that. And so you can see that net returns above operating cost. So without those fixed assets, that ownership cost, you're making about $383 per acre on that alfalfa. And that might be enough money to then recover all of the ownership costs. And so we're just trying to really look into that. And so it's saying that per acre, you're making about $43 per acre above all the other costs associated. And so at least you're making money. And that's a positive outlook. But if we look at wheat, and so we're seeing this wheat, soft white wheat, spring wheat, and we have this cost. And then we go down and we see the returns above operating. So this is without any ownership, so no land rent, no management fees, no general overhead, no equipment. So you see this net returns. Well, once you have all of those ownership costs associated with it, we're saying that you're almost losing $200 per acre on wheat. That's a lot. So if you were able to change some of that wheat mix into alfalfa, it could be beneficial for your operation. And so that's how you would look at these and read them and change them. So maybe you're getting a better price on wheat, or maybe you're getting a lot more yield per acre. So change these to reflect what you're actually seeing. Maybe our fertilizer costs are too high. Change them. Make them yours. Make them usable for you. And so if you have any questions with that, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. Additionally, if you would like more videos diving into this even further and maybe walking through an example, I would happily do that. I just didn't know what everyone's interest level is. But enterprise budgets are extremely important, and I highly encourage you, make them based off your numbers. Our numbers are great, but they're not your numbers. So if you're making money on wheat, let us know. Tell us that our budgets are very much off. And I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments. But I don't see any questions that are coming in. And I hope you join me next week with Protect Your Farm Business. Again, next Tuesday at 4 p.m. I'll go live. And hopefully I'll have less technical difficulties than I did today. So thank you for joining me. I really enjoy this time with you all. And maybe there will be another face on here next week. So thank you.